Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. As always, I'm Alek Koberna. That's Matt Morrison. This is Tuesday, March 24th. Hope you're all having a solid week. College basketball goes back in action tonight. March Madness, the Sweet 16. Matt, doesn't get any sweeter than this. What game I think are you looking forward to tonight the most out of any of them, or in these next 2 weeks?
First of all, it's Thursday.
Did I say that?
I think you said Tuesday. Is it Tuesday?
Whatever. What?
Is it Thursday? Is it Tuesday or Thursday?
Matt, it's Thursday.
Okay. You said Tuesday. All right. You just had me confused. All right. The most exciting game here tonight. Oh, man. I don't know. They all look pretty good. I mean, the Arkansas-Gonzaga game looks pretty exciting. I mean, Zaga's been struggling the past couple of games, and so is Arkansas, honestly. So this game could honestly go anywhere. And then you got honestly, Cinderella team in Michigan, who's beating pretty good teams and are taking on Villanova. I mean, they didn't have trouble with the past couple of teams that a lot of people thought they were going to lose to, so why would they have a problem with Villanova? Then you have Duke, Coach K's final hoorah, going against this Texas Tech team, who I just found out last week from you sending that with that thing in the group chat that they actually have one of the former Oral Roberts players. O'Banion. Yeah. No, I had no idea about that. I heard that name when they were playing. I'm like, I know that guy. And then when you said, I'm like, oh my God, that's where I know him. So that's going to be sweet. And then you got Arizona and Houston. I thought Houston was going to be a second round exit, but they're playing with fire. And Arizona almost lost last round. So it's a lot of excitement and surprise, honestly. So any one of these games, I mean, I'm going to try and watch them all. Probably be up pretty late, but
yeah, it's definitely
I'll have school tomorrow.
Back-to-back late nights here for basketball fans trying to watch it.
Tomorrow gets even better.
Our current standings as it sit right now for college basketball, Mike currently leads the field with 43 points, but he has just a maximum of 151 points left on the board. I am currently in second place right now with just 37 points. Mike's got a big advantage of these first two rounds, but everybody knows first two rounds, your points are that. Once you get down to these final few games, you can take first place with ease if you got one of those teams that you predicted that somebody else doesn't. I got 37 points with a max of 157. So currently, if our brackets play out, I can win this one by 6 points if this thing comes down to it. Matt, you're a little bit – actually, you're tied with me currently with 37 points left so far. But you need chaos to happen at the moment because one of your champions is out, two of your Final Four teams are out, and you have just a maximum of 117 points on the table that you can still get. So you're a long ways out. But if chaos does ensue, it will. You need this round to go just about perfect for you. In this round right now, you have competing just a couple of teams to make it to your Elite Eight here. You have Arkansas, Texas Tech, Arizona, and Kansas left out of your Elite Eight. So, I mean, you got half your field at the moment. So you need pretty much all those. The unfortunate part for you is you really can only hope for Arkansas to make this big run because they would be your only Final Four team that matters to get in at this point because we all have Arizona and your other two are already eliminated. Mike has Kentucky eliminated. He has Gonzaga, Arizona, and Kansas. So really the biggest thing I think, Matt, you could hope for is actually probably Arizona going down just to maybe cause some chaos and stop somebody else's.
And it could happen.
Kansas to go. You need something to happen here. Actually, it might be more beneficial if Kansas was to go down in this round to help you out. But I don't know how you win this one from here on out. It'll be interesting to see how this bracket plays out for you.
Yeah, I'm just watching it for fun. I don't care. I just like watching it.
Yeah, well, if anything, let's start this thing out. Gonzaga versus Arkansas. Matt, you got Arkansas as one of your Final Four teams. I think this one would be huge for you right now if you can take home this win in it, mainly because I believe Mike and I both have Mike has Gonzaga in his championship game. I have Texas Tech in my championship game, and Arkansas.
There's another one.
Potential will spoil
Texas
that
Tech
one.
could get there. Texas Tech could very well get there. I'll throw in a story real quick. Today in class, everybody was talking about pools and stuff. And everybody knows, man, my healthy lifestyles class that I'm the big broadcasting guy. And they're like, oh, who do you got? I'm like, Well, I don't have Gonzaga, I'll tell you that. And the one guy's like, oh, they're going to win. Yeah, you want to bet on that, buddy? They struggled the past 2 rounds, okay? They struggled against the 16th seed Georgia State, and Memphis really gave it to them. I said they were going to sneak past one more round. Now here it is. Arkansas is going to take them. If they get past Arkansas, good luck with Texas Tech. Or Duke.
Don't give Arkansas a pass. So they struggled against the 13th seed in Vermont, a team that I did pick to pull the upset. Then, they had some struggles against New Mexico State. I mean, it was just a 5-point win in that one. 4-point win on the other side for Gonzaga. Neither one of these teams are looking strong. And I think that's to the benefit of either Texas Tech or Duke, the other matchup going on inside of this bracket. I think the winner of that game gets eliminated in the next round. I still stand with my pick on Texas Tech going into the Final Four.
Yeah, I definitely – I agree with you right there. I think I won my other brackets. I have Texas Tech going into the Final Four. But you look at Arkansas, they're a type of a team that wins nail-biters, wins by 4 points. Zaga is supposed to be winning by 20, especially in these early rounds. They did do that against Georgia State, but listen, they went on a run the last 5 minutes. They had more speed than Georgia State did, okay? But they kept up with them that whole game. Then Memphis, look at Memphis. Memphis ran them. They ran the distance with them, and they beat them 82-78. Now you look at Zaga. You look at look at that high-powered team. Honestly, you have Drew Timme. You have Chet Holmgren. That's a team that you're like, oh, they're going to win by 20 against Memphis easily. They look so dominant. Memphis stuck with them. They were there the whole game. So Arkansas is just like Memphis. Just a little bit more stronger. Well, we're just happy to see.
Gonzaga to me coming into this game, 7th consecutive Sweet 16. That's got to be impressive in its own right. They continue to deliver at to this level, and they're going to need another great performance out of some other guys than their starters. Andrew Nembhard and Rasir Bolton combined.
Nembhard, there's the other one.
Yeah, and that was not forcing Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren to be outstanding, and they still were in those games. They had some good, some great play. But they're going to have to step up here against Arkansas, because this isn't some team out of the American. This isn't some whatever conference.
This isn't Georgia State.
This is a power conference opponent here in Arkansas that really was maybe kind of the dark horse coming out of the SEC into this tournament. A lot of people, I think, were looking at them to make a nice run, but no one got them past the Sweet 16. Just 8% of users had them winning this, or had them winning in the Sweet 16 to advance to the Elite 8. And the one thing I think I can look at for Arkansas here is defense. Defense wins championships. Everybody knows that. They slacked off against Vermont. They took that opponent lightly, and they got burnt because of it, because they allowed 71 points. Gonzaga in these first 2 games, they've scored over 80 points in both of them, but they've also allowed over 70 points in either game. Arkansas in that second game, they made the proper adjustments, and their defense came out hot, and they allowed just 48 points. Now, they do need to score more in a tight situation, because they only put up 53 against a good defense in New Mexico State. So coming out in this game, Arkansas is going to have to continue that defensive effort they put in the round of 32, and they're going to have to match the scoring output of Gonzaga. That's really been the one question I think every team has had going up against Gonzaga, because we all know, these teams have pretty good defenses. You have to have good defense to run through a power conference and make it here into the Sweet 16. So we know you're going to have good defense, but can you keep up with Gonzaga? Because that's been really the biggest question mark of everybody. Memphis fell because they couldn't keep up to the final stretch. Gonzaga had just one more shot in them to be able to close that thing out against Memphis. Does Arkansas have the offensive output? Because we've seen them against a 13 and a 12 seed average about 60, 62 points a game. You're going to need to do better than even if you go 70 points a game. That's not going to get it done against Gonzaga. Arkansas is going to have to return to their regular season form of 76 points per game. If they can get 76 points in this game and they hold Gonzaga to 75, then you come down that final minute, I think Arkansas is a good shot for the upset. But until we see somebody go blow for blow against Gonzaga and actually limit their scoring output, I don't know if we see somebody. Because, as I just said, everyone was looking at Timme and Chet in that last game in the round of 32, and here come 2 other guys dropping 40 points combined. So now you've gone past your initial scorers. They didn't just find a third; they found a third and fourth in Gonzaga, and I think that makes them right now the most dangerous team in the tournament, because they just found more scoring on a team that led all of college basketball, averaging, I think, 87. Let me see here. What was it? Yeah, 87.8 points per game throughout this entire season. Now, Gonzaga 5-3 against top 25 teams. Their 3 losses came against top 25 teams. Arkansas was just that, and they only lost once to a top 25 opponent on the season. They had some fluke games in there, and they're going to have to clean things up if they want to make this a game against Gonzaga. But they do have a great shot, Matt, to pull that upset. It's the upset that you predicted here in this Sweet 16. And 4-1 upset. To me, when Gonzaga was unanimous or was close to being the unanimous 1 seed coming into this tournament, I mean, they were in the championship last year. If Arkansas pulls this, it's another great tournament run for them and another huge upset for this program in the last 2 years. I wouldn't be shocked to see Arkansas pull it. Mike has Gonzaga advancing. I have Gonzaga advancing. Matt, you have Arkansas advancing. Personally, I'm not going to flip my pick around here and switch it to Arkansas. I like what Gonzaga has, and until somebody can prove that they can score with them, I don't know if I can flip this one anywhere else. Would you
talked about
Arkansas?
What'd you say?
Would you flip your pick from Arkansas to pick Gonzaga?
No, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with who I picked. I'm going to stick with Arkansas. You talked about their defense. Their defense is a heck of a, they're pretty good. That first round was a little bit of a fluke. Yeah, they let up over 70 points. But then you look at this New Mexico State team. I was looking at most of their wins. They're above, 60 points at least the whole season. I think the only time they scored under 48, which that's how much they scored in this last game, was like 46 points. They've been in that 60 point, 70 point range. Even when they've lost, they have scored, and their defense, Arkansas's defense, really shut that down. Hopefully they can do that with, Gonzaga. Obviously New Mexico State doesn't have the offensive scoring like Gonzaga. Like you said, they can throw in 2 more guys in there that can drop 40 points. So they're going to have their hands full. And that little guy, what's his name? Likes, probably the shortest guy in this tournament, is going to have to come up to the plate and hit one out, honestly.
Well, maybe the problem with that, you look at the size Gonzaga brings in here. I mean, when you look at Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren alone, I mean, they're averaging 7 foot between the two of them. And, when you talk about having the smallest guy in there, driving lanes are going to be short, so he's going to have to rely on his outside shot.
Oh, yeah, because when you're driving, you're going to see Timme and you're going to see Chet standing there. And it's going to be like, oh, no. So it's all about the passing, wear them down, run the clock, wear them down. You got to get your outside shooting as well. And he's a good passer too. Get it into your taller guys as well. But there in that game against New Mexico State, he drove in a lot and he got fouled a lot. But you're not going to get fouled against Gonzaga. They're just going to swat the ball. So, especially Chet.
Yeah. Well, Matt, maybe the one thing that concerns me the most coming into this game, when you talk about not having your driving lanes, this is the team that only shot 43.5% from the entire field this season. When you got Gonzaga on the other side shooting 52.6%, granted against lesser competition. Arkansas, though, did it against what we call the entire year a pretty bad SEC. Great free throw team. So if it comes down to free throws, I think you're going to bet your dollar Arkansas could pull something. But 3-point shooting for me is the biggest key to this game for Arkansas, and they don't have it. They shot just 30% from 3 this season. That ranked 321st in the nation in 3-point shooting. So unless Arkansas can have a great game where they can stretch the floor, they're going to struggle on the inside to me, and I think that's where Gonzaga wins this game. It comes down to what can you do in the paint. Paint wins ball games. Threes are daggers, and they can put a game away. But you have to win the inside to give yourself a shot at the outside.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. That's true.
There's a lot of thoughts about living by the 3 and dying by the 3. Arkansas might have to do that in this game, and when we know that the percentages, at least at the moment, aren't in their favor, they're going to have a game that they haven't had before, where they have gone off from distance and put something together in this one. That's what worries me about it. That's why I don't have the confidence that they can pull this 4v1 upset in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I just got a weird feeling about it. If they can't pull it off here, Texas Tech is a handful. I don't know they really are. I don't know how Duke is going to stick with them. I want Duke. I like Duke. I like Coach K. I like to see him go out a winner. But you got to look at the facts here. Texas Tech is a heck of a team. They fight. They fight. So this is just tough. But we got to make our decisions. But I get it, but I'm gonna still stick with the upset here. I'm gonna say
Stick with your guns.
Arkansas.
I like the pick there personally, but let's go
Yeah,
ahead and jump into that other game
yeah,
here in the western side of our brackets. Texas Tech versus Duke. Maybe one of the most predictable Sweet 16 matchups, I think, on every bracket.
yeah.
I mean, all three of us had this one perfect. And I got to give a shout out to Mike because so far, his Western bracket is perfect. He has not missed a single game within the Western bracket. So I got to give him
the
props.
Miami upset too. He picked the Miami upset over Auburn too. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
Mike.
I don't know who he was in cohorts with, but he's got to share the secrets or something, man, because that's just not fair to pick all those games right. But this Texas Tech Duke game, a pretty big one in my books, man. I got Texas Tech in my championship game. I'm not super hopeful about that one. That's kind of one of my wild cards I was throwing out there, but this could either eliminate one of my championship teams or put Duke in a spot where none of us had it, in a potential spot to then take down Gonzaga or Arkansas in the next game and really cause some more chaos. And Matt, that would eliminate 3 4 final teams. The Texas team would eliminate mine. Mike would then go down to just 2 of his 4 championship team or Final Four teams in there. So this one can cause a chaos, and I'm sure a big bracket buster as well for a lot of teams. A lot of people picking Duke. 48% of users picked Duke to move on to the Elite Eight. Just 36% took Texas Tech. To me, Texas Tech might be one of those bigger underdog teams, despite the 3 ranking. You look at their ability to shoot the ball from deep, and this is what worries me in a matchup against Gonzaga. They can't shoot from the outside. They're just as bad as Arkansas was. So if anything, I'd almost like to see a Texas Tech versus Arkansas matchup in that Final Four. I mean, in that Elite Eight.
That's what I got.
I think that creates a very interesting matchup, and it's going to cause a lot of driving lanes, both great defensive teams. Maybe the thing to me that stands out from Texas Tech, why they've been able to make this run so far, defense. They allowed just 62 points to Montana State. Well, they put up 97. Then the next round against Notre Dame, not a super high-scoring team, but an efficient one at that. They allowed just 53 points. Now, they need to put that scoring output up because so far in this tournament, Duke's averaging over 80 points per game against CS Fullerton and Michigan State. Now, I haven't been impressed with the resume for Duke so far. I think that's why so many people had them going here. It was one of the easiest rides. The bracket here in the West was one of the easiest rides for these two teams. And I think that's what has put them at this level, and that's what worries me about what either team goes into the next round at. I think this Western region might be kind of the weakest link out of really I think the field right now. I don't know how much confidence I have of the team coming out of this region, but Texas Tech versus Duke, it's going to be electric, and it's going to come down to defense for Texas Tech. We know Duke is going to show up to play. It's Coach K's potential final game if they lose it. The one thing to me we have seen this season, these kids haven't been able to handle the pressure of Coach K's final. And when you talk about, well, this might be his final Sweet 16, well, it will be his final Sweet 16 appearance, but can they get him to his final Elite 8 appearance and Final Four? To me, when we saw that loss to UNC, it showed me one thing. This team doesn't know how to close. And when you don't have a team that can close, when you come down to these big games where you need one shot, something they haven't been faced with in this postseason so far. I mean, they won by 9 points against Michigan State. So they were able to kind of widen that gap right there at the end. But does this team have that guy on the floor that can end it? Is that Paolo Banchero? If he wants to be a top 5 pick in the lottery, he's got to show that he can be that guy to close it. I don't know if he is. I haven't seen a lot of Duke games this season, but when I look at Texas Tech, people were talking about the chaos of the Big 12, and yet they only allowed 60 points in it. I know they got the defense, but they give me that same question. Is Bryson Williams the guy to end a basketball game for them? I don't know if either one of these teams has a closer on them.
Yeah, I don't know. All the odds look against them, but, I mean, you almost got to just root for him because of what he's been doing there. You know, he's been doing that since 1980. Alek, my dad was 12 years old in 1980 when he got hired. So this dude, I mean, he's been there, he's done it. So, I mean, he knows what he's doing. Yes, this is last year. People say, oh, he's burned out. It's about time.
Coach K knows what he's doing. For these players, Matt, and remember, 1 or 2 years in college, they're younger than we are.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I don't like. I mean, that's why college basketball isn't exciting as it used to be. You know, you used to have guys staying 4 years, and they got better and better, and you get to see great matchups. Oh, these 2 guys will go off against each other for the next 2 years. in college, but now they're gone. You know, Zion could still be in college right now. If you think about that.
Yeah.
I think. Or just
I mean,
like last year.
4th year, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
He
remember
could still
exactly.
be there. You could still have Zion and RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish. You have all those guys and these guys. This
Playing
team
in a
would
4th
look
year.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, you're talking about a slew of guys
you'd
that
have
are pretty much all
Banchero coming
lottery
off the
picks.
bench. You'd have Banchero coming off the bench. Like, he's a great player. And put him with these guys. Look how dangerous they would be.
But, Matt, on the other side of that, if you kept those 3 players for 4 years, what are the odds Banchero commits there instead of saying, well, I'm going to be playing the 4th, 5th man on this team? No, I'm going to go to Ohio State. I'll be their number 1 guy. I'll go to Kentucky, be their 1. You know, there's a lot of
everything changes.
Everything changes if you say that. But, Matt, we all had Texas Tech advancing here. So this, as we all put it, is Coach K's final game. Would you stick with that pick? Do you still think Texas Tech can pull this one over the eyes of Coach K in his final game?
I think they can, but I'm going to be rooting for Coach K so bad. I don't even care about the brackets anymore. I think they can. That's my gut, but I'd like to see Coach K keep going. You know?
Well, both Mike and I are sticking with Texas Tech. I think they got another one in them. And for me, I need this team to make the run. I got them in my championship.
Me too. I need Texas Tech too. That's why I'm sticking with them. So,
yeah, Matt, you got Texas Tech going in the next round. It gets you some nice points here, and maybe that's the biggest thing for you to make that jump.
But I like Duke.
Race.
So,
I think it's an interesting matchup, that's for sure. We'll move on to the next one here. Arizona versus Houston should be a fun matchup, I think. I mean, Houston's kind of splashed onto the scene here a little bit more. I think we all kind of doubted their abilities a little bit after kind of the end of the regular season. They kind of split off, and you didn't really have a ton of confidence from them coming out of the American. But here they are, and 15-point win against Illinois, I think, brings this one to the table. And after the ability of TCU to match points with Arizona in that last game, for Arizona, I think it opens the door right now for the defensive onslaught of Houston to potentially pull this upset. Now, 74% of people took Arizona to get to the Elite Eight. They had 33 wins so far now in the season with just 3 losses. It has been an epic run for them, and their offense was just second behind Gonzaga. And keep in mind, they were doing it in a power conference of the Pac-12, which is why so many people have this team making such an epic run. But to me, I think if someone is going to pull the upset, it might as well be Houston, because I think they have pieces right now. They're
dangerous.
Huge win against Illinois, and they're hungry for that Elite Eight. And I think maybe that's the one thing Arizona may not have been tested so far. I mean, 86 points per game.
They're going to be
great. But was TCU the level of competition to prepare them for a team like Houston? Maybe to me that's the main thing. And also, Matt, I want to go back to this Texas Tech Duke game real quick because I just remembered something.
Go ahead.
I'm sticking with Texas Tech for one reason. Their guy, Bryson Williams, is a transfer from University of Texas El Paso, formerly Texas Western from Glory Road. Yes. That's why I'm sticking with that pick. Just got to throw that in there.
I got to touch this real quick, too. When they lost North Carolina in his final game, at Duke, last home game, and they lost to North Carolina, one of the first things he said was, man, that was just terrible, and I'm so sorry. Like, he just, threw his players under the bus right there, a little bit. Like, this was terrible, are you serious? I know you lost, but, he really threw the players under the bus. How do you think they feel? I don't know. I don't know what to think about that too much. But, going with this Houston, I totally underthought their ability. And look at Arizona. Arizona lost to TCU team, which you were trashing 2 weeks ago. You were trashing to TCU. They can't shoot. That they can't do this. They can't do that.
Who they beat again? But Arizona did come out on top still, though. So
yeah, they still did. But Arizona barely got past them. And some say, I don't think it was a foul personally, but a lot of people are throwing that at them right now. I don't think it was a foul. It was, I think it was fair, but a lot of people are throwing that at them right now. And I think it's more pressure. And Houston is really sneaking their way up. Honestly, I didn't even expect this from Houston.
No, I expected Illinois to show out, but one thing.
Me too.
Teams, they always fall apart at this point of the tournament.
The only reason
now the question opens up.
Yeah.
I got Arizona. We all got Arizona as our championship
I'm
team.
picking Arizona.
Matt, are you sticking with Arizona in this game?
I'm going to stick with Arizona, but look out for Houston. Arizona has to have a wake-up call. I think TCU is a wake-up call. Like, okay, we can't play like garbage, and they've seen Houston. They've seen how fast they are. They've seen how boom they are, and they need to – I think they'll be all right, but hopefully they paid attention to what they were doing. But
yeah, I mean, hopefully they did, because Arizona is going to have to step up defensively, and they're going up against maybe the best defensive team in the nation with that allowed just 59 points per game. They were outscoring their opponents by 16, 17 points on the season. Arizona was doing the same, but allowing 68 points per game. So a big difference there. I think we saw the defense kind of bust for the first time against that TCU team last time out. So I think it's something to watch out for. If the defense doesn't show up at all for Arizona, I think it leaves that door open for a team like Houston, who really in shooting percentages is right behind Arizona. So I don't think there's a clear gap between these two teams. I think it's just the one gap. I'll say here, the one gap, it's Benedict Mathurin, 17.4 points per game. This is a closer for Arizona. They have a guy that can finish it. And for me, Mathurin is the one reason why this team has been pretty much my favorite to win this title this season. It's because of what this kid can do for this explosive offense. So I'm sticking with Arizona in this game. We all got Arizona across the board.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now down to the bottom side of the South bracket. Really the matchup that nobody predicted. Mike had half of it right. He had Villanova making it to the Sweet 16. I had Ohio State. Matt, you had Loyola. Actually, Matt, you had Michigan, not Loyola. Pardon me. You had Loyola versus Tennessee. So
yeah,
that was your Sweet 16 matchup there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I had Ohio State versus Tennessee. Tennessee got the wall pulled over them by Michigan. And I'll put it out there as a Buckeye fan. I liked what Michigan has done so far. They have been great in the tournament. They're playing with that chip on the shoulder. And so long as they don't lose it here, none of us have this game to pick. Mike won't get a pick for this one here on the show since he's not here, and his two teams. He has Tennessee winning it. We all had Tennessee winning this game and going up against Arizona in the Elite Eight. So with that being said, we're free to pick in this game. And obviously Nova's put in two solid performances. But the Ohio State win to me wasn't impressive because Ohio State sucked in that game. I'll put it out there. My Buckeyes could not shoot the ball. And
they still only lost by 10, right?
Ohio State choked the end of that game. They were in a nail biter right there at the end. They were closing in, and all of a sudden the shots stopped falling entirely, and they couldn't buy a bucket, I think, in the last 8 minutes of that game. They
still only lost by 10.
Right. Villanova couldn't get their shots to go down either, but Ohio State just never was able to close that gap. I wasn't impressed with Villanova in that game. And I think what Michigan did against Tennessee, pulling that one off, and not to mention two upsets already. I got them picked for a third one. I'm taking Michigan in this game. As a Buckeye fan, I'm taking Michigan because it's the Big Ten and they got a chip on their shoulder. And I'm tired of seeing Big Ten teams getting absolutely crushed here at this point of the tournament.
Michigan is an experienced team. You know what? I'm going with you.
Well, that's what I said. If there was a team to make a run, it was Michigan because of that.
It's Michigan. Yep. It's Michigan, and they weren't even a lot of people, even me, were like they shouldn't even have been in, and I think that really got to them because I'm sure that went all the way around. Like they shouldn't have been in, and now they're mad and they're going off.
They heard it.
Yeah, they heard it all right. Juwan heard it.
Yeah. And so Matt, you're sticking with Michigan, or you're going with Michigan on this one, I should say.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll see how that one works out. St. Peter's versus Purdue. Let's head down to the top side in the East. Can St. Peter's do it? I am the only one that has Purdue making it down to the Elite Eight. Mike's Elite Eight was Baylor versus Kentucky. Matt, yours was the same. You had Kentucky taking down Purdue. I have Purdue and UCLA. So my bracket right now is still alive. I got UNC as a potential upset later on in the show over UCLA. I'm not confident with my UCLA pick at the moment, but Purdue right now, man, good performance against Texas, a great performance against Yale in the opening round. If there's a hotter team than them, it's St. Peter's, though. I mean, 10-point win against
with them.
8. And, man, I know you're going to pull for the Peacocks in this one. I'm going to stick to my guns. I like Purdue, but, I mean, I think this is a very intriguing matchup. And 0% of people had St. Peter's move into the Elite Eight. 0. No one predicted this matchup to even have a chance on the side of St. Pete. And for Purdue, just 29%. This is one of the Big Ten teams I think everybody thought was going to flop. To me, though, the one thing that keeps this team alive is their shooting. This is one of the best shooting Big Ten teams we have ever seen. 5th in the nation in field goal percentage, 4th in the nation in three-point percentage. And that's the key for me right now. This team knows how to play in big moments. They're not letting the moment get to them. And I think you've seen that through these first 2 rounds. No one's really given them a challenge offensively or defensively. I mean, just 71 points for Texas, and that's pretty much on par for what Purdue has done this season while scoring 80. They basically hit their season averages in the round of 32 against the top 25 team in Texas. So to be able to do that at this stage, I got a lot of confidence in what Purdue is putting on the table. Now, St. Peter's has had a great run, and I would love to see Cinderella make it even farther. But this is one of those big times where we see Cinderella go down, and they've had a great run so far. But I think maybe this is the point we see the tournament get too big for them. They get down to the Elite Eight, the biggest.
It was big from the start
for them. Yeah, Kentucky was huge for them, but Kentucky underestimated them. They were just the better team against Murray State in that moment. Maybe Murray State, their shots were not going. I'll put it out frankly. I mean, the fact that they put up 92 against San Fran and then just 60 against St. Peter's, their shot was not falling. That's what happened in that game. I'm not making excuses for it. St. Peter's
defense, though.
Flat out, their defense won that game. That's what they.
The Drami twins.
Their offense won against Kentucky. Their defense won against St. Peter's. Now their playbook's been exposed. They're going up against an experienced team in Purdue, who's already shown domination within the first 2 rounds of this one. I got Purdue taking this game. And heck, I think if I was to take any team right now out of my Final Four and put somebody else in, I'd flip UCLA and Purdue, because this Purdue team looks to me like they're on fire. They got something ticking, and this is just really a menace to society right now is what this Purdue team does. Nobody hits their season averages in March Madness, let alone going into the round of 32 when you go up against some actual competition. And for them to do that, it shows me this team is not just a fluke. They haven't just had an easy ride. This is a team that knows what they're doing. They're going to operate within their system. And just because you got Cinderella coming in, it doesn't mean there's no magic on the side of the Boilermakers. They've been Spoilermakers pretty much all 2021. I think it carries over here. I think the Spoilermakers come back and spoil Cinderella's big dance.
They could very well, but I got to keep rolling with them.
I like
them. Nobody expected them to be there. I mean, everybody was saying that when they played Murray State and Kentucky. Too, the same thing you were saying. Like, I know Purdue's a very experienced team, and I would be happy if Purdue would be the one to beat them, because I'm happy they took down. I mean, the sleeping. I mean, they took down the Giant. I mean, that was David versus Goliath in the first round.
I hate that analogy, David versus Goliath.
I know, but it is. It's the oldest one in the book, but it's true. It is true.
Well, to me, David versus Goliath. Like, David's the underdog. Oh, I mean, yeah, but he still won, though. So how much of an underdog is he? Everyone goes, it's David versus Goliath. So you're expecting the lower seeded team to win. Then it's not an underdog matchup then.
I mean,
you're not an underdog if you're expected to win, man. That's the thing. When you call it David versus Goliath, you expect David to win because that's how it happened. It can't be David versus Goliath because David won. You know it's a terrible analogy in my book. I hate that. It's one of my biggest analogies that I cannot stand.
If Goliath
on the other side of the Eastern bracket, UNC versus UCLA, a huge one. UNC just 5% picks them to go to the Elite Eight. 27% picks UCLA. Neither one of these teams jumped off the page at any point during the season. Nothing about either one of these teams really was impressive. But UCLA, they put themselves in position all season long to make another run. They went to the Final Four last year. They went from the first 4 to the Final Four last year. They brought back pretty much the same roster. And to me, being led by Johnny Usang at this point has been a huge boost for this offense. And him being healthy has definitely pushed this team to a whole new level to me than what we have seen out of them throughout the season. And right now, Jamie Jaquez was injured so far in this tournament, but they said if he can walk, he will play. So if they can get him back here, that's 14 points per game. I think he's a huge key off the bench to what this team can potentially do. And he's really the only guy out for UCLA, and he might come back anyway. It's been a great start for UCLA, and I was pulling for Akron to pull the upset. It was a tight one there.
They almost did.
UCLA came back out in that second round and just rocked St. Mary's in that round of 32 game.
Yeah.
I think UNC, they've had 2 emotional games so far. Taking down Marquette, putting up 95, statement. Let's open this thing up. We got Baylor in the next round. Let's come in mean, green, fighting machines. And they took it against Baylor, 93-86. But
Baycott is a machine. Baycott is something special. Honestly, I like Baycott. And who's that other guy they got? I forget his name. Man, Davis. Davis? I think so. He can if he gets going, if he gets his 3-point shot going, it's history. He did kind of go cold against Baylor, but I mean, you had Baycott and company to keep up with that. But they got to stay out of foul trouble too. A lot of them fouled out. So and
that's going to burn you in a game like this because UCLA is dangerous. I mean, they're coming at you for 2 halves. I mean, they're running that thing the entire way. Shooting percentages are about as even as you could be at this point. So I don't think you really can look at that.
And my dude, what's his name? He can't get thrown out again. Brady something. What was his name? He got thrown out. He got ejected. Yeah, Manic. Listen, if he didn't get ejected, yeah. If he didn't get ejected, they wouldn't have came back. He was in a rhythm. He was hitting shots. He was playing defense too. He was getting he was just a physical player. Like, I won't go too much on. I know we got to keep moving, but, I mean, he was just grabbing the ball and moving, and the guy was there, and he elbowed him. I mean, it happens. But he's just a physical type of guy. He can play.
Matt, it definitely sounds like you're pulling for the upset here in this one. I have UCLA advancing to my Final Four, so I'm going to stick with them here. I think they got what it takes. I think saying it is a dangerous weapon for this team. And maybe the one thing for me, UNC, first-year head coach, it's been a great run for him so far in this tournament. I think the fire goes out here in this game. I think that let down at the end of the Baylor matchup where they kind of let Baylor back into that one. I think it bites them in this one. I think UCLA jumps out to an early lead. I think UNC fights it back, pulls it close at halftime. But I got UCLA pulling this one out in the final couple of minutes of this ball game. I like UCLA to do it. UNC, first-year head coach, they haven't been great against top 25 teams, nor have they been good against tournament teams. Right now, tournament teams, UCLA is 5-4. UNC is 4-7. I mean, they haven't shown anything outside of this tournament, but obviously we're in the tournament now. It's a different situation. If Brady Manick goes on, they're a completely different offensive team. But you can't rely on a stretch forward to always be that guy. And when you look at these two teams offensively, about the same. Defense is where UCLA is going to take the edge in this game. 64.2 points allowed per game. UNC, 72 points per game. So there's a big difference there. I think that comes to the forefront in this game. That's why I like UCLA. I'm sticking with my pick. Matt, I got a feeling you're going with the Tar Heels, though.
I'm going Tar Heels. I love this team. And I know he's a first-year coach, but you still got good old Roy coming to all the games. I'm sure he's saying something. Roy Williams is in attendance at all the games. So, especially that last one. There's got to be a little whispering like, hey, do this. There's got to be a little advice there. He's got to be helping. He just can't show up and watch. Former coach, he coached there from what? Well, here it is. He was a coach there from 2003 to 2021. And he was an assistant there under Dean Smith for 10 years. The guy's got some knowledge, so I'm sure he's feeding some stuff. Okay, so yeah, first-year coach, but I think he's getting some help.
Hey,
and these are guys that
actually going on. But to me, I like UCLA a little bit more in this game. Let's go down to the final part of the bracket. We have yet to talk about the Midwest. We'll start this one out with maybe the biggest upset booth so far is his bottom half of the reach. I mean, I was pulling for a potential Wisconsin-Auburn matchup, Wisconsin-Jacksonville State. I picked the wrong 15 seed, okay? I'm upset about it because I picked Jacksonville State and I should have gone on the other side, but I was so close because I knew it was happening. I knew a 15 seed was winning this year, but I picked the wrong one, unfortunately. But, I mean, there were a lot of matchups that could have happened in here, and I think we may have had the least likely scenario. I mean, 2 of the 4 lowest seeds out of this bracket in this part are in the Elite Eight, and I think that might be the most impressive thing. I don't know all time what this is, but I haven't seen very many 10 versus 11 seeds in the Sweet 16.
Neither have I.
Yeah. I don't know how many times we've had two double-digit seeds go up against one another at this point. That'd be a stat I'd be interested to find out. But Iowa State's coming off a hot game against Wisconsin. They really pulled the tight one. For me, though, the one thing for Iowa State, they have been tested in these first two games. LSU and Wisconsin, both 5-point wins for them in either one of those games. And it was a completely different story in either one of those because it was low scoring against Wisconsin. I mean, they allowed under 50. LSU pushed them a little bit more down in the stretch. Then you look on the other side of this, and you got Miami, tight game against USC, a 2-point win. Then Auburn must have completely forgotten how to play basketball because they lose this one to about the same amount they beat Jacksonville State by in that first round. So Miami's coming in hot. Iowa's coming in, I think maybe
Iowa State,
a little bit more battle hardened, I think, at this point. And to me, Mike's gotten his pick solid. He had Miami going to the Elite Eight to start this thing. I almost have to jump with him just because he seems to be having something go down. But I'll roll with the former Penn State player, Isaiah Brockington, to show up.
I'm rolling with it.
You know what? I've been high on Iowa State all season long. They hurt me down the stretch, but I'm jumping back on them one final time in this season. Now, next round, I got either one of these teams losing to Kansas. Kansas has been great. We'll talk about them in a minute. Yep. But to me, Iowa State, the battle hardness of this. Miami came out there and punched Auburn in the mouth, and they never reacted. Iowa State got punched in the mouth against a 3 seed and a 6 seed. They're coming out ready to fight. There's going to be a slugfest the entire way through. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be 55-61. Iowa State's coming out on top of this one. It's going to be ugly. You're not going to like to watch it. There's going to be fouls galore. Guys are going to the free throw line, left, out. Someone's getting thrown out of this game. This is going to be emotional. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be a cinematic masterpiece. And I got Iowa State pulling that one by the
I'm rolling with them too, not just because Brockington played for Penn State.
I like what Brockington's done this season. I mean, he's
me too. Listen, he's playing way different than he did at Penn State. I think he just fits better in the system. I think it was right for him to go.
You guys had a lot of great players that are even better elsewhere.
Yeah, I know. Wheeler. But Brockington is sweet. I like Tyrese Hunter as well. Brockington is just going off. Like, he doesn't care. He's just going out and playing. And, that's why they're winning games. They're having fun and they're winning. Same thing with St. Petersburg. They're not playing to beat you. They're playing to have fun, and it's working. That's how they're winning. They're happy to be there and they're winning. Whatever. St. Peter's. The team from Jersey. The Peacocks.
Yeah.
The Doug-led team. But I like Iowa State here, but no smack to Miami. They're a tough battle team as well. They shouldn't even
if Mike was here, he'd be here to defend them on this one too.
Oh yeah. I mean, Miami's there for a reason too, and he picked them. He saw something. I had a gut feeling. I'm like, there's 2 sections of the bracket where I was like, oh, I don't know, and that's where most of my stuff is busted with the Kentucky and with this here too, because I had Auburn, I had Wisconsin. So there's got to be something there.
There's got to be some magic left in that hat down in the Midwest. Let's flip it over to the other side of the Midwest bracket. Kansas Providence, the matchup that I predicted, and you and Mike were both wrong on. Mike had South Dakota State in this one, and you had – who'd you have? No, you had San Diego State in this one.
Yeah.
Wait, he had San Diego State, not South Dakota. He had South Dakota State. You had Iowa. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Too many FCSUs. Okay. But no, I have this game picked, and I'm going to stick to my guns. I love what Providence has done so far, but they've had such an easy ride. I mean, going up against Iowa would have been a test for them and would have prepared them for this game. I think going up against Richmond hurt their chances against Kansas. I love what they've done this season. I truly believe Providence was a top team all year long. I think when we go back and we look, when we do our top 10s, this is going to be a team strong considerations for postseason top 10 list, our final polls to come out, because I think they were so strong all the way throughout this season. And they haven't had the right setup to go up against Kansas. Maybe the outcome of this is they're going to be fresh. I mean, they haven't really been tested against either one of those teams. And Kansas came off a 7-point win against Creighton that last time out, a tight ball game for them. But Kansas, to me, they just got those guys. They got the ability. They can score the lights out. And their defense is the same as Providence. I mean, they're locked down in that department. And being led by Agbaji at this point, he's a weapon of epic proportions. I love Nate Watson. I love Providence. But one thing for me this season, Matt, they haven't showed up in the biggest of games, and I think that's going to burn them in this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Kansas is, I mean, they're a high-powered rifle. I mean, and they're coming out of that. They played some tough teams too. I mean, I gotta go with Kansas here. I got one seed at least has to make it into the Elite Eight, so I'm going with them.
Sounds fair enough to me. Let's move on now past that into the NBA. Really, the premier matchup tonight, you got to look to Cleveland and Toronto, maybe one of the most recent best rivalries, in my opinion. I mean, when you look at these two teams, whether it was LeBronto the last 20 years and now the back and forth, it seems these last couple, they both got young guys, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. I mean, this feels like a matchup we're going to be seeing for years to come in the Eastern Conference. Whether
Don't they have Gary Trent Jr. too?
Yeah.
Gary Trent Jr. Yeah, he's a good player too.
Yeah, I mean, both these have great ones. Not to mention the stars of the team: Darius Garland, Pascal Siakam. Maybe the biggest thing for me coming down to this point is the injuries for either one of these teams. I mean, Cleveland has been bit by the injury bug. It feels like at every step of the year, and maybe that's the biggest part that's going to hurt them coming into this game, because I think you put these two teams in there healthy, I think it's going to be, an absolute slugfest. I'm not super confident that the Cavs will win this one tonight, but neither one of these teams has been fantastic in their last 10. And, I'd still give my advantage to the Cavs any day out of the week. And at this point of the season, when you're 5.5 games back from first place, I mean, the Miami Heat, first team in the Eastern Conference to punch their ticket into the playoffs. Cleveland's not that far behind, but at the same time,
6 games, I think there's 6 games the magic number, because they said that against the Lakers and they lost. So it's still
okay, yeah. I mean, 6 games the magic number, but you look on the other side, we're the last playoff team. 7 and 8 are play-in teams. Cleveland's got, the biggest edge right now that they have to play with, because one slip up and any chance this team going through the playoffs might come to a close. I don't want play-in games. That's a bad spot to be in, because it puts you in a spot to have to go up against the Heat or the 76ers. I don't want that first-round matchup.
No, I don't. So that's why we got to win.
I like going up against the Bucks. I mean, to me right now, these top 4 teams in the East are awesome. Heat, 76ers, Bucks, Celtics. The Celtics have caught fire. They have the best record since the All-Star break. A 5-game winning streak. They have turned a machine on in Boston. Right now, if any team in the Eastern Conference, I got Celtics and the 76ers maybe as my favorite teams to go and make that Eastern Conference Finals run, make it to the playoffs. Miami Heat, they've been great all season, but they almost just feel too consistent. I mean, it's been going along, win a couple, lose one, win a couple, lose one, lose 2, whatever it is. Miami, they just feel a little too stagnant at this point. They've been sitting up there the whole time, and you always see if a team has been sticking up there the whole time, you normally see a fall off in the playoffs. I think they'd have a great matchup in the first round. I mean, if we get Miami Heat versus a team like the Brooklyn Nets, that's awesome. Or even against Toronto, that's awesome. And with how tight the Eastern Conference have been this year, I think the far ahead favorite of the Miami Heat isn't the one to go with. But, Cleveland coming in tonight, we got that chip on their shoulder.
They gotta win.
They need to show up. And, that loss to the Lakers, it's going to happen. LeBron James went, king mode and put up near a 40-point triple-double. And then Rustin, hurt with 20 points.
They didn't play their game that night.
It's a shot in that entire game. So, and they had a lot of help off the bench. I mean, Stanley Johnson, Malik Monk combined for 24 points. They hit the rim game against Cleveland for the first time really all season. Cleveland's got to come in here tonight, got to play big. We beat the Raptors last time out 104-96 at home. This time, playing in Toronto should be a different atmosphere. Matt, that Toronto atmosphere is always epic. It'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it is. And, another guy, 1 second. I'm getting that stats up. But first of all, the Cavs weren't playing their game. And, Austin Carr, really said that last game. Like, they weren't playing their game. They weren't playing Cavs basketball last game. They were playing to score more, and they came and bit them in the butt. And, they can't do that anymore. They can't do that against the Raptors, or it's going to be the same result. They're going to lose. They got to play that Cavs basketball they've been playing all year, defense. They got to play defense. I mean, how many points did they let up? What was that score? 131 points to the Lakers. Alec, I know they got LeBron James, I know. But, man, they have – don't think that's the most points they've let up all year. They don't let up 131 points. They play defense. You can probably get 100
That's been the one thing about Cleveland. Yeah, their defense has kept team downs. They only allowed 125 to a team like the 76ers. They were right behind them on their trail. That was a shootout back and forth. Anytime one team has put up that many on us, it's only a 5-8 point win. They haven't had 10-point losses where the other team has put up over 120 points on the season. So, yeah, I mean, to me, that was just they had give the Lakers their credit. They had an epic game, and some they desperately needed two over there on the east on the western side. I mean, they're fighting for their play-in lives, I should say, with the Pelicans right on their trail. And news from out there is Zion won't play for the rest of the season, despite posting a couple of days ago on I believe it was Instagram, him doing this between the legs like windmill dunk or something. Pretty impressive, but. They're saying he's not going to play for the rest of the season. It's a huge one. But let's go to another NBA game to predict it here. Suns versus the Nuggets. This one should be awesome. I mean, you got Nikola Jokic, in my mind, might be going for back-to-back MVPs this season. He has been epic. I mean, you got to give some credit over to Devin Booker, but the numbers right now for Jokic are jumping off the table. He's close to an averaging a triple-double on the season. And from the center position, that's very impressive. And not to mention their record at 43-30 has them in the hunt right now for a good playoff spot. They're the final play-in team on their side. So with that being said, I like the Nuggets to come in here and pull the upset in this game. You got a 6-game win streak going on right now for the Suns, but I like what the Nuggets can do. And I think right now with maybe, the couple teams, the 4 teams below them all took losses in their last game out. But maybe you saw a little bit of fire from the Lakers. The Clippers can get hot at any time. And the Timberwolves have been a team very consistent so far on the season and look to be sealing up that 7th spot. It doesn't look like they're going to fall back to the Clippers. So, to me, the Nuggets have to stay hot. They can't fall behind the Timberwolves. They need this one more than the Suns do. The Suns pretty much have clinched their spot as the first seed. Probably their game, that number to watch for, the magic number, is probably about 2 or 3 for them. They hit 60 wins, which would be tonight here against the Nuggets. I don't think the Grizzlies can really catch them with what we have left in the season. So, really, to me, magic number for Suns, I think, is probably like 1 or 2.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think it already says here that they did clinch. Like, there's that Y right
now. It's 2 as of a day ago.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, they're going to get it.
And they're on pace to break the franchise's single-scene win record with 62.
Oh, sweet. Sweet.
So it's been a great year for them, and it does look
absolutely.
like you got to pull that.
They're on a mission. I've said this before. I'm picking Suns here as well, but they're on a mission. They really thought they had a chance. I mean, they did have a chance to win that last year, and Milwaukee just kind of came up and a bit of more they weren't expecting, and they're back this year, and they're not going down. You could easily say, oh, the Suns are going to win it all this year. That's right now. The Suns are going to dominate anybody from the East. They already did that. They just played somebody. Let me look. From the East. They just killed the Chicago Bulls, 129-102. Are you serious?
Bulls have been falling off to that. That's a hard one to go.
Yeah.
Oh, they blew them out. They've been falling off.
The Bucks did beat them. By 10, but I mean they still put up 122 points. So I mean. You might see Bucks if Boston. I mean, Boston has lit some up, like you said. And of all the teams, I think this is the team that's like, hey, they might have a shot. Like no Irving, no Kemba Walker. They're just that team right there. Nobody's expecting it. This is the season for Boston to finally do something. Well, they don't have a superstar. They got Jaylen Brown. He's a heck of a player.
Jason Tatum.
Yeah. But, when you think of big names, you think LeBron James, you think, Giannis, you think Chris Paul. You don't think Jason Tatum. You don't.
Unless you're a Boston fan. Let's go on here into the NHL to wrap things out. Matt, Predators versus Knights. Predators coming in 37-23-4. Golden Knights 34-28-4. Differential for me gives me the side of the Predators. Plus, they've been playing a little better in their last 10, 7-3, the last 10. They lost their last time out. but this is a team that plays some good defense, just 184 goals allowed. Golden Knights, they're a little bit above that at 201, and the offense for the Predators, a little bit better. I think those numbers are coming in tonight. Plus, I think the Predators kind of need a late-stage run here to potentially pull themselves back into the Central Division, make this thing a little bit tighter. I mean, they're tied in points right now with the Wild, 1 point behind the Blues. Colorado looks like they're going to pretty much seal that Central Division up for them. I mean, they got 95 points. They're 16 points ahead of the second team in that conference. So it looks like Avalanche are going to start pulling away unless they continue to struggle as they have in the last 10. But I think the Predators have a good shot right now, potentially pulling themselves into that second seed. Golden Knights are in a similar position, but their numbers aren't as close to the two teams ahead of them, and they've been struggling these last 10 games. I'm gonna give my advantage to the side of the Predators. You know, I got to roll with my what's it called? My differential system.
The algorithm.
My algorithm.
I'm going to go with you. I haven't been seeing too much from Las Vegas. I think Nashville can pull this one out.
All right.
Coming around recently.
It has been a fun one, that's for sure. Make sure to come back tomorrow to the Casual Sports Podcast. We'll be talking opening weekend for high school baseball, big Youngstown tournament going on. So I'll make sure I pull some stuff together for that one. We got NASCAR predictions coming up. And not to mention, we got to predict Elite Eight matchups. You know, we don't know exactly who will be in there, but we still got to make predictions on them because it'll be happening over the weekend. And then, of course, next week, we're diving into the Final Four in a championship game. A lot to look forward to on the Casual Sports Podcast. That does it for us. I'm Alek Koberna. That's Matt Morrison. Make sure to tune in to Power Hour coming up next on YSNlive.com. And without any further ado, hope you all enjoyed today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your Thursday this time out.